Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we're taking a look back at what is, in my opinion, the best coal ship currently available for most of you guys watching right now, and that is the Tier 10 Freemium Italian Heavy Cruiser, the Napoli. So, the reason we're talking about the Napoli today is because in 4 days after this video goes up, the coupon for resource ships will be going on cooldown. And that's also why we took a look at the Incomparable on Monday, so you guys can get an up-to-date look at these ships that are pretty darn desirable. And Napoli, it's again definitely the coal ship I would recommend most of you guys pick up if you don't have her already. She can also be outright bought, but of course with the coupon going on cooldown in 4 days, you could easily get this ship for, I think she's 252,000 coal. Take 25% of that off. You can get her for, I think it's a little under or over 230,000 coal or something like that. So she's very, very, very much an easy to obtain free ship that's very, very good. And the only other ship I would recommend above the Napoli would be the Marceau if you are a destroyer player. But if you're a regular viewer of this channel, you like brawling, this is a ship I would pick up even in front of the Pommern. So let's take a look at the Napoli. So her armor, she has a 25mm bow. She also has a 60mm icebreaker bow wrapping around the lower half of her bow. Her upper side armor is 60mm, which is very nice. Her belt is 220mm. Going to her stern, she doesn't get a wraparound stern icebreaker, but she has a 25mm stern, and she does have 60mm over her steering gears. Her stern and bow decks are both 25mm thick, and her main deck is 40mm thick, so a really well armored cruiser here. It's not that uncommon for you to bounce pretty much any battleship you see shells if you can get them to shoot at your either your upper belt or your main belt. And she does have a bit of a turtleback citadel. If you take a look at the citadel, it does sit up above the waterline, but you do have that 220mm turtleback dropping down over it to protect it. So she's not the hardest thing to citadel with a battleship if you present a battleship your flat broadside, but angled, again, just with the thickness of that main belt and upper belt, is going to be a pretty rough ship to do any damage to if you know how to angle. That is, if they shoot your main belt. Of course, your bow's 25, so every battleship you see at tier 10 will be able to go through that. In terms of survivability, with the build that I have on her, and I finally got Sansonetti, by the way. He's a great Italian commander. You can get him in the what is it? His Resolute and Rapid containers, or the Italian containers. I can't remember what they are at the time, but he works really well with this ship. So with my build on it, I do have 63,700 hit points, which is quite a bit for a tier 10 cruiser. And what's really cool too is that since this isn't a large cruiser like the Stalingrad, the Alaska, so forth and so on, this gets the normal cruiser burn time, which is fantastic for its survivability. And a 22% torpedo damage reduction. Now the main guns, you get 9 of these 254mm guns, very large guns for a cruiser, especially one that again isn't a super cruiser or a large cruiser. With the build that I have on it right now, you get a 17-second reload time, the 180 in 25.7 seconds, maximum dispersion of 178 meters, and a maximum range of 16.3 kilometers. So it is short on the range if you do go for the build that I go for. Some people swear by a ranged build Napoli, and apparently it works, so that's great for them, but this is what I'm running on mine. The HE does a maximum damage of 3,450. You have a 16% chance of causing a fire on the target, and the HE does go through 42mm of armor, and the HE comes out the tubes at 954 meters a second. The AP does a maximum damage of 6,458 and comes out the tubes at 945 meters a second. So you have that hypervelocity French Italian AP there, and this AP slaps hard when it does connect. The dispersion isn't that great on it, but with the 17-second reload time, It's definitely workable, especially at closer ranges. When this thing gets in close, you will be absolutely eating other cruisers and even battleships that aren't careful and show you a little bit too much ankle. You will be chunking them pretty hard with that AP. Again, that wonderful Italian hypervelocity AP. Now, her secondaries are quite special. She gets 6x2 of the 90mm Italian secondaries, then she gets 4x3 of the Italian 152mm secondaries. But these secondaries fire sap, which is fantastic. If you guys haven't looked at the secondaries on your Italian battleships, these 90mm mounts, they normally can only pin 17mm of armor, which is barely DDs at tier 9 and 10. But with sap, that gives these 90mm guns a 26mm pin capability, which is most cruisers and all destroyers that you're going to see at tier 9 and 10. And then for the 152s, these guys pin 42mm of armor, which is most of the battleship extremities that you're going to be seeing at tier 9 and 10. So they don't start fires, however, but they do pack high alpha. The 90mm guns do 2,000 maximum damage, and the 152s do 3,850 maximum damage. And the way that these guys are, too, they're set up to where this ship has the most accurate secondaries in the game. It's just baked into the ship. There's nothing you can do to get it there besides, tacking the modules on top of that. But base, this has the most accurate secondaries in the game. And once you put the modules on, it does get it up to, I believe, a little bit better than most battleships with, like the German battleships with the full secondary build on them. And that's how Wargaming has to do secondary cruisers now, because there are no secondary skills in the commander skill tree for cruisers. So yeah, hopefully we see some other ships restored to this, like the Siegfried. Wargame, if you're listening, please give back secondary Siegfried or secondary gear. That would even be better. So we'll talk about those secondaries when we talk about how she's played, but yes, she does get that. Torpedoes, she has 2x4 533s. They go out to 13.5 kilometers. They travel at 56 knots, and they do a maximum damage of, where's it at? 13,900. Yeah, they're the normal Italian torps, same Italian torps you get on the Venezia, except I think you get one more here. Hopping over to the Venezia real quick. Yeah, you get one more. You get 2x4 instead of 2x3 that you get on the Venezia. Alright, AA, it's not great, 4.5 kilometer maximum range. She has a rating of 77 at tier 10, so it's not really great. It's self-defense AA, and even then, with the Soviet CVs, they really don't even care about it because of how short range it is. Alright, she has a maximum speed of 37.3 knots with the speed flag equipped, a touring circle radius of 750 meters, and a rotor shift time of 12.5 seconds. Consume it, you can get her down to 10.3 kilometers with the module and the commander skill, which is freaking great, because those secondaries have a range of 9.2 kilometers, which means when you're detected by another ship, you are a mere 1 kilometer away from getting within secondary range. With how quick this cruiser is, you can definitely do that. But there's something else that this ship has that makes closing that distance even better. Let's take a look at her consumables. So she gets a heal, regenerates 382 HP per second, is active for 28 seconds, and reloads in 76 seconds. You get a fighter, that's it, there's no spotter that you're able to equip on the ships, just a fighter. And then you get the exhaust smoke generator, just like the rest of the Italian cruisers. This is the smoke screen that will keep up with your ship, no matter how fast you're going. It's active for 44 seconds, and each puff lasts about 10 seconds. So if you're, let's say, retreating and you got your smoke generator going up, that last puff will sit there for around 10 seconds and keep you concealed for another 10 seconds. So using that smoke screen, you can very easily close the gap on a ship that's not paying attention to you and just let your secondaries maul them. Now, again, like the 90mm secondaries, they do only pin 26mm of armor, but again, against cruisers and battleship extremities like superstructures on most tier 10 ships will, of course, eat those shells, but of course the belt and the 32mm sections, which most battleships have at tier 10, won't. It's mostly the 152s that'll be putting in the work there and on battleships, but against other cruisers, it's definitely more than enough in most cases. So The Napoli is just a ridiculously fun ship that's great for random battles. It's great for competitive. In clan battles, too, it's such a useful ship for its sheer tankiness. It gets the old cruiser burn time with that armor scheme. It's got that icebreaker bow, that 60mm upper plate. Sure, it's not as well protected as something like the Stalingrad, but it's still a pretty darn tanky ship. Again, with that burn time. That burn time, I can't emphasize that enough. That's such a big pickup for a ship that's that well armored. And out on top of that too, the SAP secondaries, again, they will chew through same tier cruisers that aren't super cruisers or large cruisers with improved armor schemes and such. And you can get those guys going in your smoke screen, pop your fighter, the fighter spots the enemy ships for you, and your SAP secondaries just go to work. And the enemy ships can't see you. They can still blind fire you, like what happens to me in this replay here. Had in Ohio that was very good at predicting where my Napoli was in my smoke screen. But in most cases, of course, at longer ranges, that makes it very difficult. Also, the smoke screen lasts generally long enough for most competitive cap times, to where you can just smoke in, grab the cap, and leave. And it's also only has an 8.8 kilometer smoke fire penalty, so you can fire your main guns if you're away from the ships from about 8.9 kilometers onward. You're fine. You're not going to be detected. So it's a stupidly fun ship. It's a great brawler. Now, brawling, of course, in today's World War ships is something that doesn't happen too often. But again, you could build it for range if you want to do that. And apparently I've heard that that's also pretty good for the Napoli too. Something about the way that the dispersion works. It's kind of like the Soviet, not the Soviet, well, kind of like the inverse of the Soviet battleships, where the further you are, the better the dispersion gets, apparently. I've heard people swear up and down by that, but okay, you want to do that, go ahead and do that. But I mean, the main point of this ship is the SAP secondaries, so why not build into them and make them even better and even memeier? So it's a boatload of fun. And what's really cool about this ship too is that since the secondaries are built into the ship, you can't build into them anyway with your commander skill, so you could easily use this ship as an Italian cruiser commander trainer, and the exact same build you use on this ship will be used on the Venezia. And in fact, Sansonetti here, this is what I have on my Venezia right now. Slapped it on Napoli, it'll work just fine. So guys, again, Napoli, definitely a ship I would go for early on in your coal ship collecting, if not the first coal ship you pick up. She'll be great in ranked, she'll be great in clan battles, she'll be great in random battles. So perfect little ship here for you guys to pick up, especially with that coupon going off of cooldown in 4 days. So guys, let me know what you guys think about the Napoli in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 40,000 subscribers, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.